I know about Yakuza loan sharking, okay, and so my radar is going do. Fuck no. Yo, what's going on? Welcome to episode 133 of the podcast. Thanks for joining me again. We are here to conclude the epic saga of me in Cambodia. Again, trust me, this is not gonna be that climactic. But in this episode, I do give that story, give an update on some big major events going on in Japan, major events going on in America, and Western culture. We get through the story. It ends on like a little bit of a whimper, but you see how all these characters kind of conclude. And then I open up, I give you a little bit of my thought process, my history, and all this type of shit. And finally, what did I wrap up with? Oh yeah, let me get into the economic side and everything like that. So this is, I think, definitely a really good episode. More low key, more chill, but I think I opened up. I'm trying to show y'all who I am and what I think, and I don't know all this shit. Whatever. Just watch it, enjoy it. Okay, go, enjoy. Yo, everyone, welcome. What's going on? Welcome to episode 133 of the podcast. We are back in this thing. Now, this one's definitely gonna be shorter. I say that almost every time, but this time I got a bunch of stuff to do tomorrow, so I'm just gonna try and wrap up this story and give you it's not as dramatic or climactic as the previous episodes. YouTube people, my apologies. The air conditioner is on, so you're probably gonna hear some background noise from this shit, just because like it's still summertime here, so this shit's on. So there's no podcast people. I can edit the audio and do things like that, but for YouTube people, you just gotta deal with the background noise. My apologies for that. This goes out to Rod, especially. I'm going to talk about the topic we talked about before, but I guess I'm not going to get into it too much, but there are a few things I have to address. Of course, the continuing protests and strife in America that's going on. I've covered it before in the podcast. I'm not going to take too much time on it, but I was just going back and forth with a friend of mine on text a couple of days ago when the situation broke, and it's just another thing that makes me. I was just telling him, he's not black, but we're from the same area. And I was just like, man, I'm just happy my son's growing up in Japan, and I'm happy I'm living here in Japan. Like, that's the only thing I can say. This type of shit, I don't know. And if I was thinking about it today too, like, because the situation that happened, like, I don't know. I was thinking, like, these types of police shooting type situations, and for someone who might disagree with or might not understand, on these views and things like that, and just as far as even the amount of black on black crime that still goes on, which it seems like black people are starting to address as well. Black people in America are starting to address as well. I was thinking, it's like about it today. It's like, if you got your girlfriend or your wife who can't really cook well, right? Who doesn't make good food for you, for example, which means if we take, I'm not equating it one-on-one, but like, for example, black on black crime, like, doesn't do right by you, maybe gives you bad food, for example. When you go to a restaurant, that doesn't justify you getting terrible service and terrible food from a restaurant that is there to serve you and protect you, in this case. That's kind of the dilemma I feel like black people, the best I can equate it to, that black people are in. Yeah, at home in our own house, we have our own issues, but that doesn't justify, you know, having to deal with this shit from people and places that are supposed to be there to help protect and serve us the way that they do other people, the same way they do other people. And that's kind of what fucking sucks about it, you know, and what a lot of people are fed up about. And, you know, I'm sure wherever you're at, you're hearing a lot about it, but that's the only thing I'm going to add to that situation. That's the only thing that's been going through my mind. I've been kind of away from American news, you know, just recently, just before a lot of different factors. So I'm not, again, as I was before, I'm not as tapped in on what's going on. So I'm not the best voice. You know, I'm literally on the island here. So I honestly, I'm not gonna lie. Like, even today, like, you know, I got the day off. I'm on vacation right now. I took a few days off. I got some family stuff to do, take care of this weekend. And I was just like, fuck it, it's the end of the month. Let me just take some days off. Because I didn't have a summer vacation. But, yeah, I was like, you know, everyone was, my son he was in kindergarten, but a few other people were in the room, my wife and stuff. And I had the TV on, and, you know, I was about to turn on the American news, and I turned it on for like 2 seconds. And just, you know, watching all the shit going, I just turned it off. I was like, I can't even deal with it right now. My wife was like, you know, checked if I was okay. You know, I was like, yeah, I'm fine. But I just, you know, I'm just not, yeah. So I don't know, you know, my prayers, my love go out to everyone, you know, everywhere, but especially people dealing with this situation on the front lines of the situation. But I'm sorry, I just kind of got to check out from it right now. You know, watching my son, I was, you know, my little happy son telling me he loves me, and, you know, he's curling up in bed, and, you know, and shit. Like, I feel happy that I can focus on that, you know, and that's what I just choose to do right now, for better or for worse. I don't know. That's just what I'm doing. So anyway, so okay, that's that. Another big thing that's going on here in Japan, which goes out to Rod, what you sent before, the article I'm going to talk about after I finish my story. But just the big news is the Prime Minister of Japan a few hours ago announced his retirement. Prime Minister Abe announced his retirement, resignation, I should say. Due to health issues. If you don't know, Prime Minister Abe, I'll give you a little inside information. He's the longest sitting prime minister in Japanese history, which ironically, you know, he beat it by, I think, like a few weeks or something like that, the previous record. And I'll tell my wife, like, you know, he has health issues. He went to see a doctor a while ago. I'm pretty sure he just, you know, I'm positive he just wanted to be the longest sitting prime minister. So he just held out, even though like shit was kind of rough. He was just like, fuck it, I'm just gonna, until I break this record, I'm just gonna hold out, be prime minister. And then like after, he's like, fuck it. I think like by like a week or 2 weeks or something like that. So he's on his way out. I don't know who's coming in next. I don't even really think it fucking matters. Yeah. So you'll probably see it on your local news. Japan's gonna, I mean, the prime minister doesn't really isn't. I don't know. I don't know how much sway the prime minister actually has in Japan. How much he's a figurehead of the political party, which is the Liberal Democratic Party, which has been in power for like over like 50 years, except for like a short time frame, about 10 years ago. So I can't really speak too much on Japanese politics. Prime Minister Abe, I mean, he was more of a stable force. This was his second term as prime minister. I think when I first came to Japan, like 2005 or something, he was prime minister, but because of the same stomach-related issues, he had to resign, and then he came back, and he was doing all right. But I mean, for me, it's understandable. Like, he is dealing with the corona situation, dealing with the Olympics, dealing with all this shit, all this stress, doing press conferences every fucking day for like the past 6 months, basically. So it's a lot of stress. So, I mean, I can't fault him for just calling it quits. So I don't got really anything bad to say about him on that. I will talk about economic stuff a little bit later, but first I want to just hurry up and finish up this fucking story. This is all the wine I got left, so you can see it's not gonna be that long. And plus, like I said, I gotta get to bed because I gotta drive a lot tomorrow. I gotta hit the road, go visit some other in-laws in other parts of Japan. Not really parts of Japan, but just other cities and stuff. So yeah, I'm driving. So all right, so let's just get into it. Let's finish up the epic story, Cambodia. Like I said, part 3 is not really that climactic. Like part 2 was the big chunk, right? So all right, so here we go. So this is off the dome. I just was not even thinking about this at all. So we come back to Japan after part 2. You know, we left off. I had like a mild success, a mild stepping stone in Cambodia. Hold on, let me check, make sure I'm still recording it. Okay, good. I had a mild success in Cambodia on the first trip. You know, I was able to, you know, shake some hands, make some verbal agreements. You know, Mr. Kawasaki told me, you know, he had my back. To my knowledge at the time, things in China were moving forward. There was an office, there was some shit happening, things like that. So I was like, okay, cool, kind of moving forward, right? So fast forward, I forgot, I think several months later, maybe, I can't remember. Mr. Kawasaki was like, all right, so now it's time to make the move to really, you know, plant our flag in Cambodia. And so we need to set up an office. We need to go to Phnom Penh and set up or find an office there, right? And then, you know, someone needs to go there and live in Phnom Penh, live in Cambodia, you know, and he was kind of looking at me like, because I'm the only one who can speak English, like live in Cambodia and set up all the business and make sure everything runs smoothly. Now, that was like, I was like, oh shit. I mean, for me at the time, like, I was kind of I'm not gonna lie, I was on the fence about it. You know, a lot of things weren't really going too well for me in Japan at the time. I was, you know, at the beginning of the story, I was really in like a fucked up headspace. So I kind of didn't know what I wanted to do with my life, where I was going. And then like, there's a possibility like, hey, if I can like, you know, get paid being the distributor of this, you know, amazing new Japanese oil additive. Well, it wasn't even new at the time. Okay, I found out later. It's not even new. It was on the market. Oh, again, I told you before. It was on the market for a long time. It just didn't get sold a lot. Anyway, I'm getting sidetracked. So yeah, I was like, fuck, well, you know, will I be in Phnom Penh? Will my wife want to come with me? Will I just say fuck it and go live in Cambodia by myself? Like, will I have to go? Do I spend time back and forth? Like, how will this actually work? You know? But I was like, hey, I'm along for the ride. Let me just, you know, if I'm like the global distributor of this shit, like, you know, maybe set everything up for a little while until it gets going, then I can come back to Japan. But if I'm the global distributor making a whole bunch of bank, hey, you know, so I was just down for the cause, you know. I was a lieutenant, you know. So fast forward, and then Mr. Kawasaki's like, hey, Akil, we're gonna need an office in Phnom Penh because we're gonna plant our flag there. And so we're going back to Phnom Penh. And I'm like, okay, second time back there. Fine. Right? You know, I was like, okay, I'm ready at this point. But Mr. Kawasaki threw a loophole in it. He wasn't coming this time. He was like, you know, I'm kind of busy here in Japan. Like, he was always busy. He used to have like 2 earpieces in his phone, 2 phones, doing a bunch of shit. You know, he looked busy, you know. And so I was like, okay, fine. He's busy. I'll hold it down. I'll choose an office space. He gave me kind of a budget, you know. And he's like, all right, this is the budget. I'll set it up so you can meet the real estate people and you can go. He finagled and talked and you know, he basically begged. I don't know how he got him. You know, he was kind of that was his strong point. He's like, you know, like, you could just go. Everything's okay. So he talked the IT guy into going with me. So it was me, IT guy, no Mr. Kawasaki, going to choose the head office for the Phnom Penh branch, Cambodia branch of this fucking company. So, which is a little odd. I didn't think about it odd as the first time, but you know, something so important, you'd think you want to be there to, you know, but you know, he was like, I'm just too busy, I can't do it. I'm like, all right, fine. You know, I'm the lieutenant, I'll do it, I'll get it done. And he was like, well, an IT guy had, I think, a former employee or some guy he knew, another dude who wanted to come too, just to see what was going on and, you know, get a feel for whatever. You know, he's kind of an open-minded dude, so he came too, he rode too, right? So I think he paid his own way. He's like, I'll pay my own way. Of course, you know, Mr. Kawasaki paid for IT guy, paid for me, paid for everything. Our hotels are, we had a nice hotel. I think Singapore Airlines, really nice. You know, everything was cool. So we're in there, we're you know, bouncing around, doing shit. I don't really remember too much, just looking at different places. I remember me being on the phone with Mr. Kawasaki or texting him or some shit. I forgot how I was communicating with him, you know, at the time. Eventually, I think we found a place. Like, it was a pretty big fucking place, you know, sending pictures and shit. It was fucking weird. It was crazy, right? Like what was going on. But again, it's Mr. Kawasaki. He's crazy. He's always doing weird shit. Fine, I'm gonna just go with it, you know. And this is again where me and IT guy got kind of closer, because it was just us two on the trip together without dealing with him and all the, you know. Of course, during the trip we were like, yo, that was some fucked up shit on the last trip, right? It's like, yeah, he's fucking crazy, but hey, it's his business, whatever. Like, we'll just, you know, let him do his thing. You know, he's kind of like crazy like a fox or stupid like a fox, ha ha ha, kind of laughing about it, you know, and kind of stuff. So, you know, we just kind of enjoying the trip. Eventually we I think we figured it out. We choose a place, and you know, the only thing I remember about this is like, I'm sitting basically, you know, again, Mr. IT guy, he doesn't really speak English. So the Cambodian people are there, real estate people are there, I'm there, and Mr. IT guy is there, and we're talking, and we're basically like, we like the place. We're going back and forth with Mr. Kawasaki, trying to, you know, be like, yo, is this place okay? This is how much it costs. What are we gonna do? You know, and we're literally sitting at the table with this guy waiting for him to message us back, yes or no. And I believe what happened was, for the first time, Mr. Kawasaki had some trouble coming up with the money. And that's when it was just like, me and IT guy kind of looked at each other, because I think Mr. Kawasaki was like, hey, can we pay half of the money now, and half of the deposit now, and then the other half later? And I think is what he said, and that's where the conflict came, because the real estate guy was kind of like, he's a younger dude, like a lot, you know, for a lot of historical reasons, there's a lot of young people in Cambodia. If you don't know why, you can kind of Google that. But I remember him just kind of looking at us like, are these guys fucking serious? Like, what's going on, man? I don't got, you know. And I'm just trying to explain to him, like, we're not making the decision on this. We just need, you know, just hold it for us. You know, when we go back to Japan, we can get the rest of the money, or I forgot, either get the rest of the money or get the money after you go back to something. But basically, he ain't had the money, is what it was. He didn't have the fucking money to pay. Like, you know, and that's when, you know, I think the final night or something, because we were running around watching different, like, I think each day we looked at 2 or 3 different locations, and I think we were there maybe 3 days or something, 4 days, some shit like that. I don't really remember. But I think we came down to like the last day, the last couple places, we were like, okay, this one. But when it was crunch time, like, okay, time to open up your wallet, it was like, well, hold on a second, wait a second, can they do it? And, you know, it's like, now ain't the time for that shit. So somehow I think I finagled the guy to basically let us go hold the place, because he had other people, or he said he did at the time, you know, you never know, had other people who wanted the place and stuff like that. It was in the middle of Phnom Penh. Again, I can kind of see that happening. There was a lot of Japanese businesses flowing in at the time, so we were like, just hold it for us for like a week or a couple of days until we go back to Japan, you know, get the final approval, and then we'll send you the money. Give me the fucking bank transfer form, and we'll get the fuck out of here. Much love. Peace. Kind of shit, you know. So, this is the anticlimactic ending of the story. So, get back to Japan, and, you know, now I'm back at the office, and now I'm starting to see, like, wait a second. You know, I think I go back to the office again, and Chinese guy looks kind of nervous. And for the first time, he looks kind of, not more than nervous, he looks worried. You know, and that was the first time I saw him, like, that look on his face, where because he was always like a smiling, happy kind of, hey, buddy, kind of guy. You know, not like in a sleazy way at all. Like, he was a really, really nice, honest guy, you know, but entrusting as well. You know, anything like immoral or stuff, he would get really, really upset about. I think I told you when the bootleggers were in that trade show, he got really pissed off. He's like, I hate that shit. Like, I hate people like that, you know. And like, he was really, you know, an upstanding dude. And that was the first time I saw him worried. You know, like, he was trying to be positive, but he looked really worried. And which made me worried. My radar went like, hold on. Bing. Hold on, what's going on? And I talked to him about sales. He's like, yeah, no. Like, you know, sales aren't really materializing the way he thought. But, you know, I'm still trying, and I got to figure out what I want to do. And, you know, he kind of, I don't know, he seemed like, you know, distant, despondent. And so I forgot why I went to that office for. And the other guy, remember the chain smoking delivery guy, he was also kind of like a little bit distant, I believe. You know, it just seemed like a different vibe than it was before, right? The energy was really quite low. And over the next few days and weeks, I started meeting Mr. Kawasaki and things like that. And I forgot I had dinner with him or something like that. And at a local place, like, we used to meet at a lot. And basically, at one dinner one night, he, you know, when we were planning, like, that's what it was. Because I think he was trying to recruit other people to go to Cambodia, right? And other people he know, other truck drivers he know and stuff like that. He's like, hey, you can do it. Just go ahead. Like, we got the office. I'll pay for everything. Da, da, da. And I'm like, what is going on? And, you know, I forgot, maybe I asked him like about the deposit or things like that. That's what it was. Like, I think that meeting or the next meeting or something like, again, the timeline's kind of fuzzy in my head. I was like, so, yo, what are we gonna do about the deposit? Like, we need to pay this thing like by this time. Like, and he was like, yeah, I don't really have the money. I was like, what do you mean you don't have the money? You know, like, what the fuck are you talking about? You don't have the money. Like, what have we been doing all this shit for? Like, of course you gotta have the money. In my mind, like, of course, and this is when, like, I had to step back and be like, oh, you're a fucking idiot, right? I mean, I didn't say it to his face, but I just had to sit there with a straight face and have this guy basically explain to me. Now, in my mind, the obvious thing, if you're gonna start this business venture and you have a company, my mind, I didn't even think twice. I didn't even think to ask, because, again, I was just so happy to have some possibility, some hope. And also, it's kind of rude to ask, you know, your boss about their finances. You know, when he's like, hey, I got everything, it's going to be fine, I'll pay for everything. In my mind, I'm thinking, of course, you're doing this thing. Of course, you're going to take out like a small business loan. You're going to do something like that to help bankroll this shit, you know, until it gets going. It's going to take, you know, at least like a year or two or something. So you're probably going to need a few $100,000, maybe even $1 million. I don't know, you know, to really in American dollars, like, you know, at least a few $100,000 to bankroll this shit for like a year or two until hopefully things start rolling. This dude, he's a fucking idiot, was dipping into his savings and his company money to pay for everything. So all that, like, don't worry, I got it, all the don't worry about this, I'll pay for this, all that was, he was burning through his savings. He was basically just burning because he thought this oil additive would poof like fucking lightning, become the best thing since fucking sliced toast, and all the money would just come flowing. I don't know what the fuck this idiot thought. Like, again, he was just a fucking idiot. Like I said, like when I realized, oh wow, this guy's a fucking idiot. And then he started getting into sleazy shit. So not only did he burn through all his money, but apparently I found it out later, you know, the guy he had an apartment, not the apartment, the office where he was borrowing money from him, probably borrowing money from, I think the people in group B, that big group, I think he was trying to, or did, I don't know exactly, borrowing money from them. He just started borrowing money from everybody, like on some Ponzi scheme shit, just to try and keep this fucking, I don't know what the fuck, I don't know. Like, it was just fucking crazy, right? Like, so while I'm finding out all this, again, I'm like crushed now, and I'm just like, oh my gosh, the room is spinning, you know, like, and I think at that dinner, or I think because he maybe told me before, or I can't remember exactly, but he told me this shit. And then another dinner, like, there was another Japanese guy, a driver or some shit like that, who he was trying to recruit and send this guy to Cambodia to try to like set up the business. You know, he's like, dude, just go to Phnom Penh. Oh, don't worry, I'll take care of everything. You just live there. I don't know what the fuck this guy's thinking. Like, at this point, I think he was just so desperate, so in the hole. He might probably borrow money from loan sharks, maybe Yakuza. Like, I don't know, like I don't know what he's doing at this point. And you know, he's just, you know, I don't know. He's just starts wilding out basically. So. Another night around this time, we have a meeting with, you know, me, him, and IT guy. IT guy lets him have it. It was epic. In Japanese term, he lets him have it when basically Mr. Kawasaki told him that he doesn't have any money and he might have to go bankrupt, you know. Because IT guy was the same thing. He could say shit in Japanese that I really couldn't say. That like, yo, you gave all these fucking people hope. You put all, you know, the girls from China, the people in Phnom Penh that we met, me, him, like investing all our fucking time and effort in this shit. And then in the end, it comes down to you just saying like, fuck it. I just burned through all my cash. Like, what? Who does that? You know, and it wasn't like it was a business venture that was necessary. It wasn't like it was something that, like, you know, he was pushed into or pressured into. He chose, someone from Group B mentioned or introduced him to this oil additive. He thought it was the best thing since fucking sliced toast, and he just ran with it. And it was all his choice. So he just completely fucked his life, fucked his business, fucked his marriage, fucked everything. Just for what? For nothing. And, you know, so IT guy was just like, you're trying to get people to go to fucking Cambodia? Are you fucking serious? I'm giving you the equivalent of what he's saying, you know, in Japanese. Like, of course, he's not cussing. There's no real cuss words in Japan. So you know, what you're saying could equate to that, you know, by yelling at, not yelling, well, he kind of raised his voice at him, you know, in a small kind of restaurant. And he's like, are you serious? Like, yo, how are you going to make up for this? You need to go to fucking Cambodia. I don't care if you need to, like, work on a fucking shipping ship, do something. You need to do something to make this thing right. How are you going to make it right? How are you going to do this? You know, and the dude's like, no, I'm going to do it. I'm going to do something. He's like, no, take responsibility. File for bankruptcy. You don't have any money. You need to file for bankruptcy. Really loud. And the guy's like, okay, just keep it down. He's like, no, I'm not going to keep it down. You know, he's just letting him have it. Like, And you could tell Mr. Kawasaki was all embarrassed. And I'm just like, yeah, like, I'm at this point, I'm like kind of checked out. I'm numb. I'm like, okay, fine. I'm fucking happy I didn't give up my job for the I'm still happy I could just go back to teaching full time. Like I didn't, but unfortunately the dude from China, I don't know what happened to him. He, I don't know what happened to that office. I don't know what happened to the shipping guy. Him and IT guy, they kind of maintained their friendship, for their relationship for, I won't call it friendship, their connection for a while. But yeah, that office got closed down. Chinese guy went away somewhere, never talked to him again. Mr. Kawasaki, again, like my loyalty to him up at this point, even though I knew he's a fucking idiot, I just wanted to close that chapter. So he's like, Akil, I need your help. Fuck. Like, and at one time, I think when I was like, I'm done with this guy. He was like, I need you to come over here. So I went over to his place, and I forgot, he was all shaded out, and he was like, of course, the other people from the group B, the people who introduced me, was like, I knew this guy was fucking sleazeball. I knew this guy was you couldn't trust him, and pissed off, and it's like, dude, I'm sorry, I introduced you to this guy, and this is what he does, and all this shit. I'm just like, yeah, I know. I'm not throwing any dirt on his name, because, that doesn't really do anything for me. So I go to remember, the two people, they live in the same apartment, the same condo building. So, Mr. Kawasaki's like, Akil, like looking behind doors, like, did anyone come in? Like, do you see any cars outside? Like, no? Okay, all right, here's what I need you to do. I need you to go to my car, because he bought like a secondhand Mercedes or something like that, like several months back. He's like, I need you to go to my car, and go get this suitcase, which is on the front seat. Now, my street smarts tells me, if you're telling me are people outside waiting for you, then maybe they know where your car is. I know about Yakuza loan sharking, okay, and so my radar is going do. Fuck no. But he's like, please, Akil, please, like, I'm like, okay, there's not drugs. I know there's not drugs in the car, right? I know that there's not drugs in the car. So I'm like, okay, there's not drugs, there's not weapons. So there's probably some documents or some money or something like that in this bag that he needs, right? And he's too scared to walk outside his fucking apartment because he probably has Yakuza loan sharks waiting for him to beat the shit out of him. So, I'm like, all right. He's like, please, Akil, just get it, And the last thing I see is his wife, like, peeks out from behind, like, Akil. That's the last memory I have of her, like her just looking out, Akil. Like, not like, I mean, she's not like scared like Sopranos, not like mafia movie scared, but just like, oh shit, what the fuck is going on kind of thing. Like, what do I do? She was, again, not the sharpest pencil in the fucking pencil case either, but she was nice, right? So long story short, I get this guy's suitcase, right? Nothing happened. Of course, I was like watching my back the whole time, like I had circled around the parking. It was in like this big parking garage kind of thing, like this Japanese rotating electronic big mechanical parking garage, which I had to I had to like push the code, the car comes up like so slow, the gate opens. I'm just like, if I get thrown in a goddamn Yakuza trunk because of this fucking idiot, I will be so pissed off, right? Because how, like, I can just imagine, like, that's how some fucking movie happens, like, some dudes with fucking black suits and missing fingers and sunglasses and in the middle of the night walk up on me and is like, oh, you're here, oh, I'll take that from you, and then like, hey, come with us, and then throw me in the back of a fucking Mercedes. And this is what I'm just thinking that will happen because of this fucking idiot, but thank goodness, again, nothing happened. I give him the suitcase, and then I'm like, in my mind, I'm like, that's it, like, that's all you get from me. You got your one. I try to give people one time, and then I'm done. I was like, this is your one. You're cut off from me at this point. So, he after that he tries messaging me and all this shit, and I'm just like, I forgot. Like a few times he messaged me. I'm just like, yeah, whatever. Good luck, shit like that. He messages IT guy a few times. So what ended up? So the question is, what happened to Mr. Kawasaki? Well, how his story ends. From last time I heard from IT guy, he heard from him. So pretty much he got a divorce because in Japan, like if you do have a lot of debt, or people, for example, who have large scale business debt, generally is different from America, and this is actually one of the things that holds Japan back, in my opinion. So any company or corporation that has a large amount of debt, even if you go bankrupt in America or and I'm sure a lot of other countries, if you go bankrupt, the debt disappears, right? The bank has to eat that debt. You loan the money to the corporation went bankrupt, the debt disappears. In Japan, that debt falls on the major shareholders or the people who are responsible. Generally speaking, the president of the company. So if you start a company in Japan, you accrue like a lot of debt. Your company goes bankrupt. That corporate debt becomes your personal debt, right? So you can imagine like right now in Japan, for example. Let me check, make sure I'm still recording. Right now in Japan, for example. If you have several corporations, several businesses, several industries that are going through real financial problems, those debts will be transferred on to, most of the time, the founder and CEO of that company and become their personal debt. Now, once that becomes your personal debt, if you're married, that also becomes your spouse's debt as well. So if you, for example, let's imagine, you have a company, everything goes south, you're, let's say, $1 million in debt. Your company's $1 million in debt. You have no more cash flow. You got to file for bankruptcy. You file for bankruptcy, that $1 million becomes your personal debt. Since you're married, that personal debt is also your wife's personal debt. Not good. If something happens to you, your wife is $1 million in the hole. Boom, automatically. That's not good. So, a lot of times, and what happens in this situation to sever that, when a company's about to go bankrupt or whatever, the husband and the wife will divorce before or after or whatever, so that the wife is basically shielded financially from that debt. So all that debt goes onto the husband's shoulders, if you will. He bears that burden, and the wife kind of like can start over or live her life. So that's kind of what happened to Mr. Kawasaki. Him and his wife got divorced. I believe, I can't remember. I believe this guy was a piece of work. The condo that they were living in, I believe he used, I want to say, his parents' house as a down payment for it or some shit like that. So he used his parents' house as collateral for his home loan or some shit like that. So maybe his parents might have lost their house too, because of course, if he's going bankrupt, he can't pay his mortgage anymore. So they might have lost their house. I can't confirm that, but I think I heard that from IT guy. And Mr. Kawasaki ended up as a bus driver somewhere in Osaka somewhere, is what I heard. He just moved to Osaka, became like a bus driver or something like that. And he just got divorced and he just tried to start over there. And that's his story, all for some unnecessary shit. And, he ruined 2, 3, 4, 5, at least 5 people's lives, or did not irreparable damage to everyone's, but significant damage to several lives at that point. Gave a lot of people hope, made a lot of fucking broken promises, and yeah, it was just kind of fucked up. But for me, again, that looking in hindsight, that was a positive experience for me, because one, it showed me what irresponsible business behavior is like here in Japan. Two, it was one of, not the final straw. I might tell you guys the another story that was the final straw at some point in the future. I kind of might not want to do that just because of the people involved. They're not Japanese people, but there was another situation that became the final straw, which led for me to decide to kind of do things on my own, because I just got sick and tired of motherfuckers, that trying to be number two for all these crazy motherfuckers. And I was just like, I'll be the crazy number one motherfucker. So, but like I told you, it's not like a sexy climactic story at all. It's just kind of like faded away. And I mean, but it was like, I think that was about a year of my life that, I mean, for me too, it was a little bit embarrassing as well, because, I'm like, I'm going to Cambodia. I got people like, yo, how did the Cambodia thing going on? What's going on with that? And I'm like, what can you say? Like, it's just nah, just fucked up. I'm still teaching English, so that you can see, like, that kind of led to an increase in darkness for me. So, yeah, I think after that was when I started to hit my real low point after that situation, because that was like probably August, September 2012. I was just turning 30, and when 30 hit me, I really turning a new page in my life. I didn't really want to party anymore, I wanted to kind of build a foundation for a future. I wanted kids. I wanted to, I wanted some stability. I wanted something in Japan, and it was hitting me. And I thought that this Mr. Kawasaki situation, this oil additive situation, was my ticket. And it didn't work out, and it put me back to square one. And I was just like, fuck, I'm stuck. I'm fucking stuck. I can't go back to America because, the Lehman collapse had already happened. America's economy was completely fucked. And I'd been in Japan, like, for at that point, 8 years. So my resume was fucked. I could either try to go back to grad school, which I really, which a lot of people do, which people used to do, or some people do at that point, but I didn't want to go that route. So I just was like, fuck, and so I was just like, that I think was when I started, I guess, maybe started to, I stopped working out. That's when I started losing weight, and just, was just going down, basically. I was fucking depressed. I was fucking depressed like shit. But now I'm of the mind that those kind of situations, if you are, I'll talk to people. I'll give my words of wisdom. Pep talk type shit. Like, but no, if you are in that type of situation, or you do know someone in that situation, I would say that, if you make it out of that situation, for me, I've been, I'd say, in those type of crossroads situations a few times in my life. Thankfully, they've been less and less extreme and less lengthy, as I've gotten older, as I've learned about myself a bit more, and learned that I do have gumption. I am a natural fighter, I believe. So I went through that one time in college. That's the type of situation one time in college, and I had to dig within myself. And basically, I had to say, what are you gonna do? Are you gonna stay here in the mud? Are you gonna die here? Psychologically speaking, not literally die, but I mean, thinking like going down that path of depression. I could imagine where it was gonna lead. I might fucking become suicidal. I probably was going to become suicidal, and like, okay, are you going to stay there? Do you want to die? Do you want to die, or do you want to live? What do you want to do? And it's kind of the question I had to ask myself one day. And not just myself, like, I was in counseling at that time, and things like that. And which did help. And I took myself out of counseling, after I realized, like, okay, I'm strong enough to deal with this by myself. Like, I'm good. I can handle it. No, I think at the time, until I graduated university, long story, I was in counseling a bit. And then when I came to Japan, like, you know, I did counseling a bit, and I was like, no, I'm fine. I can handle this stuff on my own. But yeah, at that time, I kind of learned that, like, you know, in those type of situations, I don't know if everyone is like me, or if I don't know, but I just had to look at myself in the mirror and just, I mean, it was hard. It was a fucking hard thing to do, but just say, okay, do you want to live or do you want to die? If you want to fucking live, then you got to just take it one step at a time. Like, okay, I know you can run. You know, I've seen you run before in your life, and you can get back there, but just take it one step at a time. Step one, get the fuck out of this room, go get yourself something to eat. And I remember thinking that, like, just do that. And it was fucking gut wrenching. It was fucking hard. And I was fucking paranoid. And I was fucking, you know, worried and depressed. And I was like, oh my gosh. But, you know, I dragged myself to the cafeteria. I got myself some food. You know, okay, step two, go do something else. And I forgot what else I did after that. But I just remember making the decision to go get something to eat. And that was like the snowball like effect of like, okay, if you've done that, just keep going down. So that kind of laid the path for me. And you know, with the Mr. Kawasaki situation as well, same thing. You know, I mean, I wasn't that extreme, but I was very much down. I was very much crying. I'm not gonna lie. You know, I was crying like a little bitch. Like a little bitch. You know, like, a few months after, like, actually, you know, it wasn't like when the situation happened. It was months after the situation cleared up, because that was like August, September, and like I think around December, January, you know, it started hitting me like that I really trusted this motherfucker, and you know, he kind of took me for a ride, and that didn't hurt. That did not feel good at all. I felt fucking stupid. I felt like an idiot, and I felt trapped. So, you know, yeah, I remember too, because, you know, I forgot what happened, but I was like, I was talking to my wife, and I was like, I'm fine, I'm happy, and she's like, no, you're not fucking happy, and I was like, yeah, you're right, I'm not fucking happy, I'm fucking miserable. I think I said this to myself mentally, and then after that, I started taking steps, reading, like, okay, I don't know how to be happy myself. Let me read books. You know, the first book I read was Napoleon Hill's Think and Grow Rich. I listened to the audiobooks of that every day for months. I started listening to Think and Grow Rich. I was like, okay, yeah, that's what it was. Like, I was like, you know, I don't know the answers. What I thought, my well-made plans are not working out. It's just not working out. So let me put my pride to the fucking side and listen to somebody who has more experience with this shit than I do. At that point, I forgot why I chose Napoleon Hill's book, but I just chose the audiobook, started absorbing other information like that. And that's how I hadn't, and started reading and doing other stuff and finding stuff, and that helped me. And then, you know, things start happening, my life started changing, moving forward, and now, I'm back, baby. Because I'm not a depressed person naturally. I'm this, you know, type of person. I'm a happy, positive person. You know, of course, we all have our insecurities. We all have our, you know, negative thoughts and things like that. But I'm naturally like a positive, happy-go-lucky type person. So, for me, like, you know, getting over those situations where I doubt and fear is just like reminding myself that, like, yo, this is not you, you know, and all you need to do is find a way to get yourself back on track, and you'll figure it out. And the more experiences I've had, like, the more I'm kind of like, I'm becoming faster at snapping back into it, you know, So now that process it used to take me weeks, you know, maybe even months. Now shit might take a day or a couple of hours or even a couple of minutes, you know, depending on the severity of the situation now. So thank goodness. And hopefully in the future it takes a couple of seconds and it disappears completely. You know, when I get all this paper, Okay, but anyway, anyway, that's the story. That's my hopefully, my psychological advice or whatever for anyone who might need it, or anyone who's going through any of those type of situations, especially in the times that we're living in right now. Um, you know, I just am. I mean, I'm not the one to try and make this shit sound like it's fucking magic or make it sound like it's fucking easy. It's not easy. It sounds easy, but it's not. I know it's not. But I do think making a commitment to do things is very important. Once you make a commitment to do things, that is like a yes or no type thing. Which road are you going to take? Are you going to take this one or are you going to take that one? If you decide to take that one, you have no choice but to, if you just make the choice and walk down that road, eventually you'll get to where you need to go. And I do believe that. So, and that's how I try to live my life. So, yeah, and like I said, I'm walking down the road I chose, so I'm happy. Yeah. And that's why I can look back on the whole Mr. Kawasaki, the whole Cambodia saga with a smile now, because it was one of those times that put me in a point of contrast, which allowed me to really choose my road for the first time in my life, choose the road, but not by chance. A few times, keep things happen in my life, but happen by chance, happen by luck. But this is one of the times where it's like, fuck it, I'm going this way, god damn it. I don't know how I'm gonna get there, but I'm fucking going this way. And I'm not gonna stop until either I fucking die or until I get where the fuck I need to go. And so, yeah, I'm still just walking, trust me, I've been falling on my face the whole time, but I'm getting somewhere. So, all right, it's almost midnight. Okay. Like I said, I said it wouldn't be that goddamn long. I'm always lying to you guys. God damn it. All right. So what I have, let me just close out this episode with a few things, with one topic, which is a Japanese economic topic. I'm gonna leave. It's actually just pretty much a lot of information. One, what Rod sent, which is a Quora, another Quora. Sorry, my ears itchy. A Quora. Core article, which is I skimmed through it. It's a lot of kind of background general information on Japanese economics. Another one is if you don't feel like reading, or I would encourage you to click on both of them, is a YouTube link a video I saw several days ago or several weeks ago, that gives just a quick summarized cliff note of a bridge version of Japan's situation, economic and political, over the past 30 years. Social, economic, political, demographic, a lot of stuff. It's a lot of stuff going on in this country, which if you're a long time listener, you've heard me alluding to. I think these two pieces of information will give you a better picture of what I'm talking about. Combined, if you're thinking about coming to Japan, definitely give them both a look and a listen, a look and a read, if you will. Just to add my 2 cents on it, especially the events that's happened today with the Prime Minister leaving, plus the global economic, macroeconomic type events going on. Where does Japan fall, if you will? For me, I see Japan at pretty much the edge of a pretty slippery slope that it's about to slide down. It doesn't want to slide down it, but it doesn't also want to slam on the brakes, if you will. And it doesn't want to change course. And that's, I'd say, one of the big faults of Japanese people and Japanese society is that, like, Japanese people don't like change. And Japanese people don't like to go outside their comfort zone. And, for the most part, Japanese people in Japanese society doesn't have to. It hasn't had to, because Japan has been so insulated up to this point. But there are forces beyond the control of the Japanese society, Japanese central bank, the Japanese political elite that are swarming around the world. And in my time in Japan has dropped from second to third largest economy in the world. I'm pretty sure it's going to slide further down that scale. I don't know how long it's going to, I don't know how far it'll slide. I don't know how long it'll be. But I think I've told you before, I'm very, very bullish on the Japanese economy, just for the resiliency and the what's the word? Sternness, or the Japanese spirit. The Japanese spirit is something that is really admirable, and I love the way these people just don't give up. They just don't. Even sometimes they should. Sometimes they're really just like, oh, yeah, I should just call it quits right here. But they don't. And I think after, that's why you've heard me talk about like the dinosaurs dying, and the roots of a second Japanese economy sprouting. At some point in the future, it's going to happen. If you take a look at some of this information, you'll kind of get a feel for kind of what I've been talking about and what I've been saying. And I just, like I said, I'm not trying to save the system. I'm trying to do anything. I'm just trying to maneuver, in my westernized way, get my piece of the pie and expand on it for myself and for future generations of my family. That's all I'm trying to do. That's what I said, like, I see my American dream very much, my opportunity very much lies somewhere in there. I don't really know exactly where it does, but, I'm trying to, like, my wife and I, we were having a conversation about stuff like this, and she was like, well, why is this happening? And I was like, I don't know, and I don't really care. My job is not to figure out, like, why this big wave is crashing down. My job is to ride it, like, where it came from, where, the reason for it, what it's thinking, is not any of my concern. My job is to figure out where it's going to hit, how it's going to move, ride the motherfucker, into safety, and with y'all on my back as the best I can, is kind of my philosophy. Whatever, and sometimes I talk to, like, my mother-in-law about this type of shit, because she likes economics too. And she's like, oh my gosh, what about these people, and what about the kids, and what about the homeless people, and what about these people? I'm like, yeah, I don't give a fuck about all that. I'm like, I don't care about all that. I'm like, I just laugh, and I'm like, I can hear the cultural difference between us, like, because in Western culture there are natural winners and losers in society. It's just natural, so you don't really feel like everyone's entitled to be together in this. We're not in this together, you do for you, I'll do for me, and naturally there's going to be a hierarchy of people who win and lose. In Japan, again, the social contract is everyone's the same, everyone's in it together. And sometimes I hear it when I talk to her. I hear those fundamental differences of thinking come out very much so. So I mean, not faulting her in any way, it's just like how we were raised. But also for me, I think that's one of the things that's my advantage living here, because I'm on the outside, and because I think, in such a individual kind of way, individualistic kind of way, that I have no choice but to try and cut through the best way I know how. And maybe, hopefully, I'm in a point in history to where that skill, that way of thinking, and that just chance will serve me quite well. Hopefully, knock on wood. That's in my mind. That's how it works. I don't know what the fuck's gonna happen though, but we'll see what happens. So I'm just gonna end things there. This epic 3-part saga. We did it. Fucking great. From the next episode, I got something really, really good for you. Again, next episode, I'm gonna break down another really good 4-part mini series that on YouTube that I've been watching. I'm probably going to either do only 1 or 2 parts of it each episode, so it's going to be definitely be a multi-episode type joint going down. I'm looking forward to it too. I've watched the whole series already. I'll just speed through it, take a few notes or a few points, just like how I like to do, give my 2 cents on top of it, and then you can go ahead and watch the the docu-series, you know, in your own free time if you would like. It's a good 4 parts. It's almost 2 hours worth of shit. It's really good though. It's really, I think it's 4 or 5 episodes. I forgot. I saw it like a week and a half, 2 weeks ago, but I'll go watch it again. But anyway, let me get the fuck out of here because tomorrow's gonna be a busy day for me. So thanks for watching. Thanks for listening. I opened up. But I guess that's what this shit's all about, right? All right, so let me holler at you next time, and be good to yourself. Peace.